Okay, today we're unpacking something I know we all desperately need right now: how to combat that modern, everyday exhaustion of hustle culture. You know the exact feeling I'm talking about, when your to do list seems like it's literally multiplying in the dark while you sleep. We're going to be looking at 12 simple, highly accessible hobbies that act as an actual antidote to our fast paced lives. Because let's face it, in a world that moves way too quickly, carving out small pockets of time just for yourself, that isn't a luxury anymore. It's an absolute necessity.
True relaxation doesn't actually require dropping hundreds of dollars on fancy gear or rigorous training or even having endless hours of free time. The source material really hits the nail on the head here. Life is not only about productivity, but also about presence and pleasure. When you intentionally choose simple activities that nourish you, even a remarkably short stretch of free time can feel deeply, deeply restorative. These are the moments that make life sweet.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the productivity trap. Then we'll look at 3 buckets of restorative hobbies: grounding the body, engaging the mind, and nurturing your creativity. And finally, we'll wrap up with the journey, not destination. Let's dive in. Part 1: the productivity trap and finding the antidote to hustle culture. You see, the root of our everyday exhaustion is this constant pressure we're under. We are constantly told to do more, achieve more, and optimize every single second of our waking hours. But the solution isn't optimizing or doing more. The solution is reconnecting with your mind, body, spirit, and passions. It's intentionally choosing simple, low-stakes activities just to bring a little calm and lightness back into your day, reminding yourself why it's so incredibly special to just be human. Moving right along to part 2: grounding the body, reconnecting through physical presence. This bucket is all about activities that physically anchor us in the present moment, forcefully shifting our nervous system out of that exhausting fight or flight mode we get stuck in. We're looking at things like gardening, stretching, walking in nature, and having a true morning coffee ritual. The trick here is leaning into your sensory experiences to build peaceful habits. I'm talking about literally plunging your hands into the dirt, or maybe putting your phone in another room, pouring your coffee into a favorite fancy cup, and actually tasting it instead of just gulping it down to survive your commute.
Take stretching and yoga for a second. There is a reason various cultures have relied on this practice for over 2,500 years. It's not just some modern trend. The hard science shows that leaning into breathwork and holding those poses literally lowers your cortisol levels. That's your stress hormone. It forces mental clarity by making you concentrate your energy entirely on exactly where your body is, right in this present moment.
Now, if starting a whole new yoga routine feels completely overwhelming to you right now, no worries at all. Just start with 10 to 20 minutes. Stepping outside for a short walk drastically calms your nervous system. The fresh air, the natural light, the greenery, it clears out mental clutter almost instantly. Actually, the source highly recommends leaving your headphones at home every once in a while. Just let the natural sounds completely anchor you.
Okay, part 3, engaging the mind, escaping the daily mental load.
So we've grounded the body. Now we need to give the brain a much-needed, healthy escape from daily anxieties. This is where reading really shines. It forces you out of your own head and straight into a mini adventure. Then you've got journaling, which is amazing for actively alleviating that heavy mental load. Even visual junk journaling with random clippings works. Meanwhile, tackling puzzles gives you this awesome, low-stakes sense of accomplishment, and learning something new, like maybe taking a community class, keeps your brain super curious and engaged.
Let's talk about why puzzles and games are so effective. It's because they trigger what's called a flow state. That's a gentle mental immersion achieved by giving the brain a focused task, which interrupts negative thought loops. So when you're playing a card game or solving a Sudoku, you're gently stopping those stressful thoughts in their tracks. It gives you a wonderful little hit of dopamine, but with absolutely zero heavy, exhausting pressure of workplace productivity. It's basically structured play at its finest.
All right, on to part 4, nurturing your creativity and finding joy in the process. This is where we wake up that inner creator by keeping your hands and brain busy and intentionally downshifting. We're talking about incredibly tactile hobbies like baking and cooking from scratch, photography, intentional listening to music, and crafting. The magic here is the deep satisfaction of building something totally new, or just seeing your everyday world through a completely fresh lens. I mean, imagine grabbing an old-school film camera to study light and shadow, or watching a knitted blanket literally take shape in your own hands. It is deeply, deeply satisfying. Let's look at cooking. For most of us, it's an absolute necessity, right? A daily chore we just rush through. But what if we flipped a script and cook for pleasure? Challenge yourself to make something entirely from scratch. Need some fresh pasta dough or bake a loaf of bread? You research local ingredients, set up your kitchen, throw on an awesome playlist, and suddenly measuring and stirring transforms from a tedious chore into a really rich, meditative joy. And think about music for a second. Picture this. You set up your space, light a couple of candles, grab a cozy throw blanket, and maybe put a vinyl record on the player. You close your eyes, and you just ask yourself, what do you hear? See, usually we just leave the radio or a playlist running as background noise while we're working or cleaning the house, but intentional listening, that makes the music the main event. You might actually read the lyrics while the song plays, or listen to a whole album straight through without a single interruption. Letting those layers of sound, rhythm, and emotion completely transport you without multitasking is a vastly different, highly restorative experience. Which brings us to part 5, the journey, not destination, and learning to embrace being a beginner. The overarching philosophy that binds all 12 of these hobbies together is right here. The goal isn't mastery, it's the refreshing mental shift. The source material strongly emphasizes that you've got to leave your concern for outcomes at the door. Whether you're trying to learn a new language, starting a little windowsill garden, or just sketching in a notebook, please don't put undue pressure on yourself to achieve perfection. The real goal is simply the refreshing mental shift that comes from allowing yourself to grow at your own pace. Because at the end of the day, life is truly all about the journey, not the destination. You now have 12 simple, highly effective tools right at your disposal to step out of the hustle and back into the present. But here's the real challenge. Just knowing this stuff isn't enough. You have to actively choose to stop rushing.